Hello guys, my name is Behroz and welcome to the channel where I share with you tips, tricks that I read, learn and apply in my daily life in order to become a better version of myself. When I last posted my video with the link above on how to file personal income taxes in Canada, in video although I covered personal income coming from employer, capital gains, dividend income, rental income and also personal business income, few of my followers came to me and requested for me to make a specific video going in depth and in detail on how to file taxes for ride sharing like Uber or food delivery like Uber Eats. So in this video, I'll share with you in detail on how to file taxes for ride sharing and for food delivery. So stay tuned. Now there are a few items that I want to list down that you need to be aware and be prepared before you start going through the process of filing your income tax for your personal business. If you're a ride sharing and food delivery business, your earnings are taxable and hence it's always advisable to keep at least 25% of your income on the side for expected tax that will come towards the end of the year. Now here is the list of information that you need to gather in order to fill your T2125 for your ride sharing or your food delivery service. Your annual tax summary from your ride sharing partner that you work with. Receipts and bills of tax deductible expenses. Your mileage from the start of the year till the end of the year, and also need to figure out how much of this mileage was used for business purpose and how much of that mileage was used for personal purpose. Your social insurance number, your GST HST number, and any other tax documents or receipts that are related to your ride sharing operation. Example tips, etc. Now secondly, let me list down what are the expenses that you can use as tax deductible. Number one is application fees. These include service fees, booking fees, other fees such as airport, city or split fare fees, gas, oil, windshield, water fluid, brake oil fluid, antifreeze and other maintenance expenses, repairs and routine oil changes, tire changes, car rebalancing, car washes, detailing, supplies such as pencils and papers and pens, a portion of your cell phone expenses, lease payments if the car is on lease. Again, there are certain requirements on how much lease you can expense out, and capital cost allowance on your vehicle. Again, this is also a formula that we will go in detail when we go through the tax filing process. Now I'll take you through the details of how to file the tax income form using the Wealthsimple software. So let's start with logging on to the Wealthsimple website. If you haven't signed up yet, sign it up. I already have a sign up, so I'll just log in. Go to tax. Here, create your profile where you'll fill all the tax forms in the software. Now let's start filling out the form from A to Z. Fill out your name, email address, social insurance number. So just fill out all your personal details here. We can skip this part. Fill out the mailing address. These fields are important as they will determine the tax that will apply to you because the taxation is different by province. Did my province or territory residence state change? No. Yes, it's same. Here there is an option if you want to prepare your tax returns along with your wife or your spouse or your husband. Generally, it's best idea to do it and have them done together because this tax software will optimize the tax basis where the expenses fit right. However, for now, just because we are only talking about how to fill the T2125 form, I'll just skip this part and keep it single and pick no. If you have dependents, just go ahead and fill in for the dependents, but I'll keep it simple for now just because the video is about filling up the T2125 form and I want to just save time and not fill in all the details of my kids for now. Again, these are very simple and self-explanatory answers. In case you don't understand a particular question, you can hover on the question mark, click here and it will give you more details. Here, just select yes, I want to claim because let the government decide whether you're eligible or not. So just keep yes for everything that you see here. Are you registered for my CRA account? Yes, this one is very important because what this will do is this will pull out your previous tax information. Come here and connect with this my CRA account. Click on this and then it will take you to your CRA account. You'll ask you for your login and all, and it will pull out any detail that was submitted before that needs to be reflected in this tax return will be directly and automatically populated, so you don't need to fill every cell here. Again, I will skip this part and move on, but if you have the CRA online account, make sure you connect with it so most of the data that can be automatically populated gets automatically populated. So we'll search for T2125. So we'll start with filling out the form, business name, GST HST number. Note you certainly need a GST HST number if you are a rideshare business, let's say Uber driver, but in case you are only a food delivery business, then you don't need a GST HST number as long as your total earning is below $30,000. If it's above $30,000, then yes, you need to register it as a proper business with the GST HST number. Also make sure you fill separate forms for rideshare and food delivery. And even if you have two rideshare, let's say like Uber and Lyft, you need to fill two different forms for it. Keep filling in the details. Does this business have its own address? No. Is this a partnership? No. Note here you will find the refund number. As you're filling up the form, as you're putting in the numbers, this number will start showing either positive or negative numbers. If it's positive, that means the government owes you money. If it's negative, that means you owe government the money. In this case, if you only have a personal business and no other income like employer income, in that case, your tax is not deducted as you're earning the income. You are only liable to pay your tax at the end of the year. So this will always be a negative number. However, in case you have an employer income, in that case the tax is deducted as you're earning income on a bi-weekly or monthly basis, and hence at the end of the year you may either have a refund or you might have something that you owe to the government. Full year rideshare. For rideshare the industry code is 485990, while for food delivery the code is 492210. In case you have any question with regards to any of the fields, you can click on the question mark icon and it will take you and give you more details. Now let's start filling in the income and expenses. Here you will put in the complete gross sales number that you get on your rideshare tax summary. This may include fees like airport fee, booking fee, split share fee, but that all needs to be included and you need to report the complete gross sales. Also, this number will be before deducting the GST, HST. So let's say this number is $50,000. Now here you will need to put in the GST and HST. If you've already done your GST, HST return, then you can simply pull the number from line 103. In case you've not done the GST, HST return, in that case you can simply use the quick method. Here we will put in the GST number, which is 13% for Ontario, so $50,000 into 13%. And here we will plug in the quick method calculation. The idea here is that when you make expenses, you also pay some GST, HST to the vendor from which you've made the purchase. So for instance, when you're purchasing the phone services, when you pay for your mobile bill, there is some GST, HST you pay on that mobile bill. All of that GST, HST you can claim back against the GST, HST that you're paying here, which is $6,500. So if in your expenses you've paid, let's say $2,000 of GST, HST, you can claim back those $2,000. However, this is a difficult method of calculating and keeping track of every transaction you've done and how much GST and HST you paid on it. Hence, it's better to use the simple quick method, which has a rough calculation that CRA provides, which will more or less be around the same number that you would have made if you go and do the detailed method. So for quick method, just take your $50,000 of gross sales, add the GST, HST of $6,500 and apply the rate, which is 8.88% for Ontario, which comes out to be 4,972. If you had your GST, HST included in this number, then you would put the GST, HST number here in order to deduct it. However, since this number $50,000 is without GST, HST, hence we put 0 here. So this is the gross income we earned. This is the GST, HST, which comes on top, but this is the GST, HST, which you would reclaim from the government. So net GST that needs to be applied on top of your gross sales is 1528, and hence your gross sales, including your GST, HST, will be 51528. 0 here. Temporary wage subsidy 0. Do you have any other business income? No. Cost of goods sold would be 0 because it's a service, so we don't have any products or inventory, and we'll directly move into expenses. Now in advertising, you'll add things like if you have made any business card or brochure for the car service that you provide, you can include it here. Also note, in case you want to go and get more details, you can always click here and it will take you to the CRA website where it will provide more details for each of the line items. Meals won't technically apply for ride sharing, but yeah, it may apply in case you've taken a ride out of town where you had to purchase meals or you had to stay over, then you can include it here. No bad debts. Insurance, you can keep this blank because we'll cover this part of the vehicle cost. There won't be any interest, there won't be any business fees, license dues, membership, music subscription if you've taken for your drives. Office expenses or supplies can be any purchases that you've done for notepads, pencils, pens which relate to your business, or a home office setup, you can include it here. Here, if you've sought any professional services with regards to accounting or legal, you can add them here. You might not have any management admin fee because you're a solo business owner. Rent, this is for home, again this doesn't apply. Maintenance and repair, we'll fill it out in the vehicle details. Salary, wages, benefits, again you're solo. Property taxes none, travel none. Telephone charges, yes, in case you have any telephone charges which pertain to your rideshare business, you can put them here. It's best to do a percentage, so let's say 10% of the time you use your personal phone for rideshare business, then you can allocate 10% of the cost here. Secondly, if you've added data on your phone just for the rideshare business or the food delivery business, then you can claim the complete cost of data here. You can keep this blank because we'll cover the fuel cost as part of the vehicle cost. Again, nothing here. Here the motor vehicle expenses will come, which will come directly from the tabs that we will fill below. Also, capital cost of allowance will come. This is the cost of depreciation for your car, which will also come here by filling up the form at the bottom. Now, other expenses may include expenses as bank fees, computer expenses if there are any courses or trainings that you may have taken, first aid kit, sunglasses, tolls, etc. So now we will input the car expenses, for which we'll go down and open this tab. Here there are two options. I'll report the totals only. This means that you've already done your pre-calculation on how much is the lease amount that you want to expense, how much is the depreciation amount of the car that you want to expense. But in our case, I would suggest I need to calculate them. So you let the software calculate in the best possible way. Once you do that, it gives you an option, make or model of the car. This one is very, very important. How many kilometers have you driven in the year? Let's say I've driven 25,000 kilometers. And how many of those kilometers were related to the business? So let's say 15,000 of those kilometers is related to my business. Now here you'll input the cost of fuel and oil. Let's say the cost of fuel and oil was $4,000. Interest is calculated below, so we'll leave it for now. Cost of insurance, let's say this was $1,000. License and registration fees, maintenance and repairs, this is oil change, any other maintenance that you've done on the car, this will all be captured here. Let's put 1,000 here. Here in the maintenance, you can also add the cost of any tire changes. In case of Ontario, certainly it will be snow tires, so you can add them here as well in case you incurred that cost. Cost of leasing will also be calculated at the bottom once we start filling in this form. Electricity would be 0 because I'm not using an electric car. In other expenses, you can add things like cleaning, bank fee, computer expenses in case you've purchased a specific computer specifically for your business, courses or trainings, first aid kit if you purchased that for your car, music subscription, let's say you took music subscription for your car, any stationery expenses, sunglasses, and so on and so forth. Again, all the expenses which would pertain and facilitate your business. Also, it's best to write the description of the expenses of what the other expenses include. Here you can write the key items that you've included here. So if the biggest item was, let's say, purchase of subscription, you can just write subscription purchase here. I'll put $500 here as other expenses. So the total expenses are $6,800 that you've listed down here, and the portion which is related to your business is 4080. This is because part of your car was driven for personal use. Only the portion of the car which was used for business purposes, which is around 15,000 divided by 25, which is 60%. So only 60% of the expenses will be used in your tax statement. Any business parking fees that you've incurred, I'll put 200 here. Any additional insurance that you bought for your business apart from the car insurance, none. Let's say. Now here's the question. Did you finance your car or did you lease your car? Most people I know go forward with lease, so I'll just select lease. I'll select lease here. Once you selected lease here you need to share total lease charges that you incurred in year 2021. So how much lease payments that you do for the year 2021. So let's say the lease payment for this year was $10,000, and prior to this you've paid $5,000 for your lease payments. So in total you've paid $15,000 for your lease payments. Total number of days the vehicle was leased. Let's say you bought the vehicle last year mid-year, so you used it for 6 months and a year this year, so it will be a total of 545 days. How much is the manufacturer's list price for the car? Let's say it's $29,000. So the eligible leasing cost that you can claim in this tax return is $10,000. Now on top of lease, we can also claim some depreciation on the car. Again, there are some limits with regards to how much depreciation you can claim, but there is some wear and tear and depreciation going on in the car, which you can also build in your tax return. So here there are three options: 10, 10.1, 54. 10 is for the cost of car that is below $30,000. 10.1 class is for cost of car which is above $30,000, and 54 is for e-vehicle. So here we'll select 10 because our price of the car is $29,000, which is below $30,000. This is UCC, which is unclaimed cost of capital. This amount should be in your last year's tax return. However, if you're filing for this tax return on your business for the first time, then this would be 0. Let's assume last year this amount was $1,500. Then any additions that you've done to your car this year, like if you've upgraded the engine or if you have upgraded any significant or major part of the car, you can add here. AIIP is for property and ZEV is for e-vehicles, so both of them don't apply to us. Proceeds are in case you've sold the car, how much proceeds you got. So we didn't sell the car this year, so we're good. So if you don't want to claim any or all of your capital cost of allowance this year, you can use this column to enter a lower amount. If you leave this column blank, then the software will automatically claim the maximum CCA for you. So we'll keep it blank. So let the software maximize the CCA for us. So the max CCA for this year is 270 and the unclaimed CCA is 1050. With this, we've filed all our details for our business and our tax that we owe is around $9,311 that we owe to the government basis all the inputs that we've plugged in. Now you'll go down, you'll click on review and optimize. It will give you some suggestions or some errors that you need to fix in, and they will show on the form red in color. So you'll just click here and it will take you to the errors. Hopefully by the time you fill the form, given you have plugged in all the relevant and valid details, you won't have any errors here. There will be certain warnings. Just go through the warnings and make sure that nothing applies to you or you understand all of them. And then you can simply go ahead and submit your claim at the bottom once you've reviewed all the errors. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully with this video, you will be able to file your tax returns for your business income in a few clicks and without incurring any major cost. Thank you.